representing cyclists across Canada. So welcome to our live stream. I want to talk to you today about why I love cyclists and cycling. And I'm really going to touch base with like 13 reasons that I've come up with why I really love representing cyclists and hanging around with cyclists. So, it's interesting. I was talking to someone the other day. Someone called in about a potential case, and he and I were talking about getting together a meeting to talk about what had happened. And he said to me, hey, I'm 65, but I look like I'm 40. You'll be able to see me when we meet. And that's really typical of what I find in cyclists. I think that this sport keeps us fit. And hopefully, and many times I've observed that it helps us stay looking a lot younger than our peers. We all know it enhances our health and prolongs our life. Had a little discussion with Dr. Merkin from the Villages. You all know Dr. Merkin from his e-zine. If you don't have it, you need to subscribe to his e-zine. It's unbelievable. But I was talking about training and heart rate and all that. And he said, Jim, the data is really not even questionable that endurance athletes live longer than non-endurance athletes. So there is science behind the fact that you feel better and look younger. The other thing that I know about cyclists, the people that I hang around with and the people that I meet when I'm out, is that they're engaged in life, and they have a purpose. It takes something to get up every day and decide you want to ride your bike 40 or 50 miles 4 or 5 times a week. It takes purpose to want to do that, to recognize the value, to have the drive. And really it becomes a drive that you want to do and you feel like you're deprived if you can't do it. And you really have to honor that. And I admire so much the people that I meet and spend time with and our clients that's the life that they live. They've chosen to live that life. They're determined to pursue what they love. Really, so many people, I have clients who are not in the cycling world who don't really have a purpose in life at all, particularly people that get retired. Many of them really do not much other than drive down and get a coffee in the morning or walk the dog or go to the grocery store. It's almost sad, but that is not the case with my cycling clients and our cycling friends. We have a purpose, and we know what that purpose is in terms of just our sports and athletics. I mean, we have lives much richer than that, obviously, as well. I think of the number of people that I've met who never realized what they could accomplish with their life, what they could do physically, what they were capable of doing until they got on the bike. I was at a bike club meeting recently, and very accomplished athletes, and one of the men in the room, which is one of the most accomplished athletes, said he had never ridden a bike 5 years ago. This guy was younger. He was probably in his late 40s. But how it had changed his life just to be able to get on the bike and pursue the dreams and the goals that he was setting for himself and really continuing to surpass and getting better and better. I think the other thing that I've noticed is that cycling encourages competitiveness. And I don't just mean competitiveness with your peers or those that you ride with or your friends. I think it helps us, it pushes us to become better at what we do individually. When I ride, I have a route that I ride. I'd like to beat that time. I'm looking to beat that time tomorrow. And I know that that's the case with many, many people. So I think that it's, and if you are competitive, there's so many avenues and outlets for us to be competitive. There's a guy down in Fort Myers, Charlie, who held his speed record at the St. George, Utah Senior Games well into his 70s. I have so much admiration for him. Last time I spoke to him, he was in his 90s and still was a phenomenal rider. So he had this competitive drive to be out there trying to do as well as he could. And how many people have realized that that in the cycling world, we are determined so often to push our limits and our personal boundaries? How people have discovered, particularly many people who work their entire lives, moved to Florida. So many people that I meet didn't start riding until their 60s and even later. And what they have done to develop their own sense of personal accomplishment and physical well-being simply by being on the bike and determined to do better, because you're always surrounded by people who are better than you and people who aren't maybe as proficient on the bike as you are. That's the great thing about this sport. One of the great things that my assistant and I have noticed, for many years, we were predominantly in the auto injury world. We still represent a ton of auto people. And, I always remind cyclists, you're more apt to get into a car crash than you are a bike crash, fortunately. And we represent auto cases. But my assistant said to me, these cycling clients are different than our auto clients. The first thing they want to know is, how bad is my bike and when can I ride again? I've literally been in the hospital with a cyclist with multiple fractures, the proverbial cartoon with the arm up and the leg up, and already has had several surgeries. Doctor comes in while I'm there, and the question is, hey, doctor, when do you think I can ride again? It's like, you just have to love that attitude. That what that does is two things. It motivates people to get better. I think people improve when you're optimistic, when you have a goal to pursue, when you have a reason to get out of the bed as quickly as you can. You're going to recover faster and more completely and resume a higher level of function when you have that desire to return to the sport that you love. Totally different than so many people that I encounter in our practice who don't have that in their lives, and they're simply being struck down by an injury, but they don't have that same intense desire to get back and restore their physical capabilities. I had another conversation with a client this week. This is an amazing guy. He's a wonderful athlete. He's in his early 70s. Lives about 2 hours away from our office, was in a crash in which he ended up being hospitalized for more than a week. He was very discouraged, honestly, the first few months after the crash. Had an injury that was difficult to come back from, fairly prolonged recuperation period. And he was questioning to me in a conversation maybe 6 months ago about whether he could ever regain the speed and endurance that he had enjoyed prior to this crash, and questioning in his mind whether his age was going to work against him. Well, fast forward several months, and we spoke this week, and his birthday was this week, and he rode his age, which was in the mid-70s in terms of mileage. But he also was riding, he was cruising in the low 20s, and he said, I had 25 and I felt good. And he just said, Jim, I'm back. And I'm so grateful to be able to be back and tell you that. I was just inspired by his attitude, his determination, and the gratitude that he had to be able to get back on the bike and enjoy what he enjoyed with his friends, 4 times a week. It's interesting that of all the clients that we've had in the cycling world who are injured, I only personally know of one person who made a decision not to return to cycling. And it was interesting because the crash that person was involved in wasn't a crash, wasn't a high-speed kind of injury, had an injury that required surgery. But this person just made a decision. I just kind of lost my desire to ride. And this was a daily rider beforehand. So of all the people that we've worked with and talked to and represented, that's the only person that I personally know that never came back. And that was simply a decision that this person made not to do it. It's interesting. I want to hold that thought for a minute. Recently we did a survey, and I want to thank everyone who entered our survey. We had over 300 responses, which is a great response rate. Everybody who entered and answered a question got an entry into our contest to give away our helmet, which we gave away last week. And one of the questions was, what would motivate you or prompt you to refer an injured cyclist to our practice? And I was interested because there were several people who commented, if you were closer to my location, that I'd be more inclined to refer you. And I thought about that and I said, in our practice, the vast majority of people do not live anywhere near our practice. Our clientele does not come from the Clearwater area predominantly. They come from the regions south of us, down as far as Fort Myers, and the regions north of us, Orlando, the Villages, Ocala, Sebring, it's all over the state. No one is here primarily. I make it known that I will come to you if you need me. But it's also interesting that so many people call, they know who we are, they trust what we do. And many people just call and say, hey, listen, I've been in this crash. I want to get started. What do I need to retain you to help me recover from this thing? And we do it by phone. I think I mentioned a couple broadcasts ago that we settled a case. Client lived 2 hours away from the office. I met him when I delivered the settlement check to him. We had begun the process by phone. And this was a guy who came to us, not really through a bike club, but basically through our webpage. But he felt comfortable and wanted to begin and was really thrilled. He got a tremendous outcome. So if you know somebody who's been involved in a bike crash, friends don't let friends call a 1-800-ASK a mystery lawyer. I want you to know that if you need me after a bike crash, I will be there for you. All you have to do is call and let's talk about it. I hope no one in this audience ever needs me, but I want you to know that I will be there for you if you do. So I had a conversation with the former executive director of the Florida Freewheelers. When I first started representing cyclists years ago, we were having lunch up there in Claremont. And I said, I had just attended a seminar about frame failures, bike frame failures, and how sudden and catastrophic they can be. Thankfully, I've never encountered one. But he said something to me that's always struck with me. And he said, Jim, there's a lot of things in life that can hurt you or take your life. You might as well do the things that you enjoy in the process. And that's always stuck with me. And I think that's another thing that I admire so much about cyclists. Everybody understands the dangers. There's dangers out there. We can't control it. In my most recent seminars or presentations, I'm reviewing some data for people that shows that bike cycling is really safer than riding in an automobile when you factor out all of the people who are riding on the wrong side of the road at night without a light, without a helmet, or drunk. So if you take all those people out of the equation, the data, it actually supports the idea that cycling is safer than riding in a car, which I think is encouraging to us. But clearly, you can't remove the data. You can't remove the injury component, the potential danger from what we do. I think that but recognizing that we still pursue it because we desire to do it. We desire to enjoy the benefits of it. I think that cyclists, by and large, when I talk to a group of cyclists, they are uniformly very engaged in what I have to say. They want to understand how they can ride more safely. They want to understand how they can properly insure themselves. They want to understand the issues of visibility, the issues of helmet technology, all the things that will increase the odds that if something goes awry, I'm going to come home safely. Just wearing the right colors at the right locations can decrease the odds of being hit by 50% alone. Wearing a flashing front and rear lights decrease the odds of being hit by 50%. There's a lot of things we can do to increase the safety component of our sport. And I'm just so encouraged when I go out and talk to cyclists, they want to hear this stuff. They want to know, and they want to act on it. I was at a meeting of the Ocala triathletes just this week. And, I was amazed. I have such admiration for triathletes. It's one thing for us, so many of us pursue cycling. It's our dominant sport. The dominant thing we do is ride the bike. These people are pursuing riding, running, and swimming at the same time. It's incredible, and they do it at a high level. But in this room, we had people who had never done their first triathlon, and many people who were serious contenders for competitive greatness. But they were there together, a uniform body of interest. They asked me to come talk to them. We had a great presentation. They were engaged. And that kind of presentation just engages and encourages me. I just love to be in the presence of people who are so enthusiastic. The other thing I noticed that is, cyclists are young at heart, and age doesn't deter them. I think there was a time last year in our practice, we had 4 clients in their 80s in different parts of the state who had been involved in their first crash. It was pretty incredible. Every one of them recovered. Every one of them returned to cycling. And, I personally know riders in their 90s who still enjoy the sport, several times a week. So I think that one of the things that I love about the clubs that we deal with is that this club atmosphere encourages both the young and old, and it puts inexperienced, experienced, young and old riders together in a community of interest. So you have this broad base of support in the community for what we do. I think that as we age, the sport of cycling allows us to continue to ride and enjoy what we do at the level that we're comfortable doing it. So much of the conversation in cycling tends to be about speed and distance, but someone riding the bike for 45 minutes at 12 miles an hour has as much enjoyment as the A rider doing a century. And that's the unique thing about it. We can all enjoy it at our level. I think that the people that I also admire are those people who are riding despite their nicks and bruises. A lot of the people that I'm dealing with, they heal, but they still have consequences of their injuries, Okay. Hold on a second. Little question came across, and I've got a little, Yeah, Chuck, how are you doing? It's got to see your question. Chuck makes a point that safety equipment is just as important in our sport as it is in any other sport, and that really is a good point. But I think many people are not pursuing the safety aspect of it simply because they don't know. And one of the messages that I want to bring to the cycling community is the things that we can do from a safety standpoint with equipment, lighting, and what clothing that would enhance the riding experience and get us home safely. But I was saying before I noticed that question, I thank you for the question, Chuck, or the comment. People in the cycling world ride despite their nicks and bruises. I mean, a lot of people are riding with sore necks and sore backs and sore ankles and knees and hips and what have you, but they're doing it because they enjoy it. I think a lot of times I'm impressed too with a number of people who have a serious injury, but adapt their equipment to what they need to do. So I had a client down in Sarasota County a couple years ago who was a tremendous rider, was on a road bike, had an injury to his neck, which really made it uncomfortable to ride the road bike in the riding position. He simply transferred to a recumbent, just as fast, enjoys the sport just as much, adapted to what he had to do. Have a current client who was injured and really made it impossible to ride a road bike, went right to a cat trike. It did not deter him from continuing to ride multiple times a week. There's a rider that I met over in Tampa several years ago who lost his leg in a motorcycle crash years ago, but rides a road cycle with one leg at a highly competitive pace. It's incredible. He was such an inspiring guy. Also, I am so inspired by the things that bike clubs and meetup groups do throughout the state and around the country. Think of the hundreds and hundreds of organizations that are benefited every year because cyclists get together and ride, do an event, raise money, and give to some charitable endeavor in their local community. From Special Olympics to special projects in the community, it's simply incredible. And the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that are raised every year to support these activities, simply because cyclists want to contribute and give back to their communities. I was thinking when I was thinking about this last night, if you're out in your car and you have a flat tire, your car breaks down on the side of the road, how many drivers around you are going to quickly pull over and come to your aid? Many times somebody will show up, but you have to maybe wait a while for that to happen. That's not the case with the cycling community. If you break a chain, you have a flat tire, you have an equipment failure, cyclists are going to stop invariably. It's be unheard of for a cyclist to be cruising by you and never stop to offer aid, by and large. It's just another aspect of this community of interest that we have. The other thing we do is I've noticed that people are so ready to share their experiences, their advice. They are encouraging to new members to the cycling world and do so much to encourage and help one another. And we adapt to new technologies. You know, we're all adapting to the concept of the e-bike, which is going to have a profound effect on the cycling world. It already has. Now we're debating, you know, do e-bike riders get as much exercise as non-e-bike riders? And there's people that want to debate that on both sides. But I think we're going to find that it's going to broaden the number of people who can ride. It's going to enhance the experience of people who have an injury or because of age, they've slowed down, they still want to ride with their friends. We have a spouse that wants to ride, but it's not really a rider at your level. All that's a lot of evening out that's going to go on because of e-bikes. And I think that the sport is big and it's adaptable to these things. So I hope you found my musings interesting. I think it's curious that with all of the great advantages, the great good, and the wonderful people involved in cycling, why we are so disrespected by the motoring public, we're ignored and overlooked and even condemned. And it's just a great mystery to me as to why that should be, because it really shouldn't be that way at all. Well, that is the subject of another conversation, I think, sometime. So this week, I want to give you an opportunity to get one of our, we call this a jersey band. This is our Jim Dodson Law cycling case. So this will fit in your jersey pocket. It's waterproof. It comes with a lifetime guarantee. If it breaks, we'll replace it. It's shamelessly logoed, so if you have need for us, you can call us. I have a Samsung Note, which is the longer Samsung phone, and it fits in here without the exterior case on it. So you can throw away your sandwich bags. We'll be happy to, if you don't have one of these, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just go to the bit.ly link, bit.ly.bikephonecase that Katie's put on the screen there. Again, thank you for joining us today. I'm Jim Dodson, the Florida Bike Guy. I'll see you next week, and